here today with Toju Duke. Tojo, how are you?
I'm good, Nick. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well, thank you. So, listen, I love it. Your expertise lies in responsible AI. But before I ask you about that, can I just ask the world of AI, has it taken you by surprise how surprised everyone is about it?
Yeah, I think if you want to compare my level of surprise versus everyone else, I'll say mine is probably about 40%. Uh,
Okay.
because I got into the field out of interest and out of being able to decipher and observe the technology and the amount of breakthroughs it can have, how powerful the technology was. And this was about 3 to 4 years ago when no one really cared about AI, no one cared about ML. You talk about it and they're like, yeah, whatever, that technology, understand. And
Yeah.
then fast forward 3 years later into October last year when ChatGPT just came and took over the world. Everyone is suddenly surprised. Now, I didn't expect the likes of GPT-4 and ChatGPT, but with GPT, which is basically the model that is powering ChatGPT, and I'm assuming everyone knows what ChatGPT is
Mm.
from my kids. But yeah, the when GPT-3 came out and GPT 3.5, it was showing a lot of capabilities that previous large language models did not have. So it was already breaking a lot of cutting edge. It was coming up with a lot of cutting edge technology.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT just came and just stole the show. And to be fair, I wasn't expecting that at the time. But I mean, I didn't have any expectations. I just knew that AI would take over a lot of technology at some stage.
But did you expect the reaction from the worldwide audience, I suppose, to be as definitive in terms of oh my god, panic, 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 or were you surprised that people weren't more kind of even slightly more clued up on the fact that it already existed?
I wasn't surprised by people's reaction. Like, I'm planning on writing an article for Sifted or writing something similar. It's just like people tend to panic about everything, right? If you look at the history of humans, right,
Yeah.
always something that is about to take over the world and erase humanity. There's always something. If it's not AI, it's something else. So I'm not surprised by people's reaction. Um, I don't know if people are really thinking through everything. Like, looking at the whole AI fad, there's so many AI tools out there that can help you. I'm curious to see, and I'm actually going to do some more studies on it. How much adoption rates do we have on generative AI in businesses? And has anyone measured how much productivity it's actually brought? We need to dig deeper because it
What's
seems
what, what's your gut?
I don't I know it's brought some form of productivity.
Mm.
I would love to see stats and numbers. I feel like we have more of the marketing agencies using it. We have general businesses using like Microsoft's Copilot and stuff like that. But these are still very new. These are
Mm.
very new applications. So even in measuring the adoption rates, it's quite small. It might be quite low, but there was a big hype around ChatGPT when it just came out, and I think a lot of people felt they were going to be left behind. And it's like, what is this whole AI thing? I talk
Yeah.
to people all the time, and they're still trying to get their head around AI, which is totally understandable. But no one wants to be left behind. But the question is, what does left behind really mean? And I don't think people are quite aware of that now. Fast forward 6 months later, after ChatGPT was launched, we've seen that the users have dropped considerably, and they're saying maybe
Mm.
students that were using it before and they're not using it anymore. And then now we've seen so many cases where it proves that they come up with infactual responses. People say they hallucinate, and people argue that no, it's humans that hallucinate. But whatever it is, there still needs to be a lot of fact checking using the results of large language models like ChatGPT. So, in other words, is it really leading to productivity? Like, how much time will I spend fact checking it, right?
Yeah.
Might as well just do the work myself.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I still feel it's at its infancy stage.
Okay.
And to be fair, when I was working at Google, I avoided Bard because I just knew then that it wasn't ready to be used, and I didn't want to use anything that would annoy me and stress me out. And until it's a bit more mature, I think people should just take a step back, understand what their use case is, what the problem is that they are trying to solve, see if generative AI can solve it, but don't just be quick to like dump all the money inside it, because again, it could be a bit of a fad. And AI has gone through its own winters and summers over the years where there's been so many
Okay.
great promises. AI will be able to do XYZ, and then those promises they fail and investors pull their money out. So right now we're in the summer, but I don't know, maybe a year's time from now we'll have some more stats to actually
Mm.
show how mature this technology is for businesses, and if it's actually the right thing to do to pump in like 80% of revenue in generative AI, or displace 20% of your staff for it.
That was properly fascinating. Lots to think about there. Thank you. So let's move on to your expertise, your area, responsible AI. Firstly, tell me what it is.
It's basically just developing and deploying AI in a responsible manner where it has less detrimental effects on people in society.
And so how did you get into this, and why is it of particular interest?
Yeah, it was. I think it was more of happenstance in the sense that I found AI, loved it. I was like, this is amazing technology. It could potentially cure cancer, which I feel it's been a disease that has been here for way too long, and I couldn't just understand why science and technology has not been able to break it through and just understand and come up with some cure or something to slow down the death rates that's caused by cancer. So that was one thing. And during my work in it, I came across bias in AI, and I found out how there have been so many AI applications that have had to be called off over time because they were just ridden in bias, and even in healthcare as well, right? And there's been lots of false diagnoses or misdiagnoses with people's lives, and lots of representational harms and stuff. And I got really concerned, to be honest. I was like, I don't know what sort of world I'll leave my kids to, because we're
Mm.
literally automating discrimination, inequality, bias, and so many other things in technology. And the problem with technology, you can't reason with technology. Like, me and you, I can talk to you and say, hey, Nick, what you said the other day wasn't quite right. And you can think about it and reflect. But with technology, you can't. They're not human beings. They're just machines, right? And they just work according to the way they were programmed. And for me, I was like, it's really scary, because once a technology has been launched, you cannot track its adoption rate. You don't know who's using it, and you cannot track the impact. And I intentionally got into the field because of that, because I knew that there's lots of work being done in the field to address these issues. So I wanted to learn more and speak more about it, and that's how I got into it.
And is it something that can evolve and get better, or do you have to rip it up and start again, because the bias you're talking about is so embedded in our society, and if everything stems from the humans, kind of you have to start all over in order to properly rid yourself of it.
It can be fixed, it can be improved. So like, we don't need to rip it off and say, hey, everyone stop it. I mean, people have tried, right? Like, the only people that can make that happen is lawmakers, and even then,
Mm.
how do they enforce it? But I think what it is the tech industry and the AI scientific community in particular have just had this slogan of, move fast and break things. And in other words, we wouldn't know the problems until we launch it, which is totally understandable. But from on my side, it's more like, launch it in increments. Do not just launch it to the whole world if you do not know the problems and the challenges that it will bring. And the impact from AI and the challenges it brings to society is too large for us to, it's too huge for us to just ignore. Like, people get arrested for crimes they did not commit. People lose their lives because they're just following the recommendations of a chatbot. There's lots of online psychological safety to be considered. There's so many things that are too huge for us to say, hey, it's just a minor problem. We can gloss over it. So it can be fixed, and that's why I wrote a book on the same topic, building responsible AI algorithms with a framework around it, because there are different ways we can address the problem, not just
Mm.
bias, but there's problems around privacy, around data rights, around human rights, around the robustness of a model to prevent bad actors from hacking into these models, and some other ethical considerations around the annotators and labelers who work on the data, how much they're being paid, how they're being taken care of, the effects large models can have on climate change, and people being aware of this and conscious of the effects and impacts it has on the climate. So there's so many other things, but I think people just need to be mindful, right? There has to be a form of responsibility on any organization working on it to be aware of its potential and its
Yeah.
limitations.
So
And then,
sorry. Can I ask then, for you, like, as you were saying that, for me it's like, it's an enormous subject at the kind of beginning of what it's going to become, I suppose. And you're dealing with it as a whole. But how do you kind of keep yourself motivated, I suppose, in terms of I'm achieving, I'm actually pushing it forward when kind of I'm assuming kind of for every small step you make or for every step you make, you're looking at the bigger picture and thinking, wow, I've still got a marathon to run.
Okay, yeah. So you mean for myself, or you mean for the organization?
For you,
Me, it's great. It's great. Like the book. I just had a book launch last
yeah,
week. It's
yeah,
already a bestseller on one of the bookstores, and I made an announcement on LinkedIn and it went viral. So there is a keen interest in it, and that's what excites me is the fact that people know that this problem exists
mhm,
in AI, and people are looking forward to fixing it. Like I'm going to have a conversation with a professor this afternoon on the second edition already. Universities are just buying the book up and down. Like it's providing a form of solution. And I think it's giving people hope because I think, especially when this whole hype and doomsday sayers came around to say it's going to take over our lives, everyone got scared. People are still saying they're scared of it. I mean,
mhm,
you get scared of something that you don't understand, that you don't know, right? I
yeah,
think there's a lot of lack of knowledge that is causing this fear. I mean, we still have people in the research community that still really strongly believe that it's going to take human lives. But for me, I haven't seen any empirical scientific evidence. And until I see that, and looking at the capabilities of these technologies today, and even trying to project into the future, I still don't see how that is going to happen. But assuming it's going to happen, we have responsible AI frameworks that can
mm.
prevent that from happening. Now we just need to take it more seriously.
So, on that note, thank you so much, Dee, for your time. It's been lovely speaking.
Same here. Thank you, Nick.
Perfect.